Today on Rock the Park,
Hey, look at him. We got a seal.
we follow the call of the wild
Oh, there we go. We got about 50 of them or more.
to find a once-vanishing breed.
They're huge. They're enormous.
We explore America's fortitude. Many experts said that building this bridge would be absolutely impossible. And its darker side. I mean, it's creepy, but it's exactly what I was hoping for. We're in Northern California.
So the cell is actually right down below through this grate.
And it all starts right now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Jack Stewart.
This is the real deal.
And I'm Colton Smith.
These are
mountains. We've been buddies for years. Always in search of the next adventure.
Dude, what was that? We share a passion for our national parks and other wild places around the world.
Oh my God.
Heading off the beaten path. Pushing our limits and experiencing nature's best kept secrets. Here we go!
It's how we rock the park.
Deep walk. Oh my gosh, I really don't even want to go in there.
I do. Let's go in.
Oh, imagine being in here. This is total sensory deprivation. It's pitch black. There's nothing to see except what your brain creates.
We're checking out Alcatraz, the end of the line for felons too dangerous to be held anywhere else. It's part of a road trip to explore the history and natural wonders along the Northern California coast.
In addition to Alcatraz, we'll be exploring San Francisco Bay and nearby Point Reyes Peninsula, one of the most spectacular national park reserves in North America, and where our journey begins.
We've got a jam-packed day today. We're gonna start out by kayaking out to our campsite, and then we're going on a hike in search of an animal you might not expect to see around here.
Elk. But not the elk that we've seen in the past. These are Thule elk, which are native to California. Thule elk, river otters, and sea lions are just a few of the wildlife found at Point Reyes National Seashore, a 71,000-acre sanctuary overlooking the Pacific Ocean.
Let's get these boats down.
Yep. Oh, what a beautiful morn.
We have to boat in all of our supplies. So we're making sure it stays nice and dry.
Yeah, it's about 40 degrees right now. It's nice and calm, but we know one thing about this bay, and the winds can whip up quite quickly. Point Reyes is one of the windiest and foggiest places on the North American continent, creating treacherous conditions for ships entering and leaving the San Francisco Bay.
We're gonna be rocking some wetsuits today because the water is very cold. We're kind of out there exposed, and if the wind picks up and there's some waves, we're gonna get wet. Oh, the water's cold. Oh, is it cold?
To get to our campsite, we're paddling across Tamales Bay, directly over where the North American and Pacific tectonic plates meet.
So basically, in Tamales Bay right here, if you were to draw a line right down the middle of it, that is the San Andreas Fault line.
These plates are converging right underneath us.
Point Reyes is literally a park on the move.
Get this, the 1906 San Francisco earthquake moved this landmass right in front of us 18 feet in one single day. Earthquakes have shaped the rolling hills and valleys of Point Reyes, creating natural habitats for dozens of creatures, like bat rays and harbor seals. The harbor seals, they like these nice little bays like Tamales because out there towards the open ocean, you got predators, you've got sharks. Here, they're somewhat protected.
Dude, look it over there. See that cutting across the top of the water?
Oh, yeah, I do.
That's a bat ray.
Oh my gosh!
They use those big wings to not only glide around, but they also use them to hunt.
Bat rays feed on mollusks and dig clams out of the sandy ocean floor by creating suction when they flap their wings.
The name suits them too. I mean, those big wings, especially when they stick out of the water.
Reminds me of Batman.
We're approaching Hog Island, where we've been told to keep our eyes peeled for a resident colony of harbor seals.
It's kind of hard because the island itself is kind of that grayish tan color.
I'm not seeing anything.
Let's turn the corner up here. Might be some on the other side.
Harbor seals have spotted coats in a variety of colors from gray to dark brown. They spend half their time in the water, and with their highly developed sense of hearing, they no doubt know that we're there long before we spot them.
Hey. We got a seal. Look at him.
We got a seal.
Yeah, we got a seal.
Hey, buddy.
He's definitely a harbor seal. You can tell by the shape of his head. He's just got that cute round little head that's just poking up out of the water. Harbor seals can weigh up to 300 pounds, but they're much smaller than their cousins who are also found in Point Reyes. The elephant seal can weigh in at a massive 5,500 pounds and are easily identified by their large overhanging nose and distinctive trumpeting sounds.
This is crazy. The seals are now just popping up all around us.
We got another one right in back of you.
Oh my gosh, he's looking right at me. They really are curious little guys. Well, that was awesome.
Yeah.
We unfortunately have to end our hide and seek game with the seals so we can get to shore and set up camp.
All right.
We got some elk scat.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere on the beach.
It's a good sign. Don't want to sleep on top of it, but it's a good sign.
What do you say? Do you want to go for a little hike, see if we can spot these guys?
I certainly do. We have a few hours of daylight left. It should be good.
Yeah.
We're on a West Coast safari, tracking wildlife only found in California. They can run, but with those sounds, they definitely can't hide.
What do you think that means?
I have no idea. We're exploring Point Reyes National Seashore in Northern California, with the Pacific Ocean on one side and Tamales Bay on the other.
With just a few hours of daylight left, we're tracking down an animal that nearly vanished from the face of the earth.
We're hiking along the Pacific Ocean, and somewhere out here are these elk.
But we're looking for a specific kind of elk. They're the Thule elk. They love this kind of environment. They love the grasslands and the marshes. These elk are named after the reedy grass-like plant called Thule that's found all over the coastal hills and valleys. Tens of thousands once roamed the central California landscape, but during the 1840s gold rush, they were hunted to the brink of extinction.
And it took one rancher who decided, you know what, I'm gonna save the last of these guys. And now they are flourishing in different preserves and parks just like this.
Thule elk are the smallest North American elk, and the only place to find them is in California. We've seen plenty of signs of the Thule elk. There's droppings just about every other step, it seems, on this trail, but so far, none of the perpetrators of said droppings.
Oh, there we go. Right up there. We got about 50 of them or more. Man, came right around the corner and there they were.
Yeah, they weren't exactly hiding.
Check that out. That is pretty cool.
We've barely had a chance to check them out before the herd is on the run.
We just saw about 50 elk just start to move down the hillside with the ocean in the background. I mean, that's a beautiful sight. And then all of a sudden they start making all this noise and then they move back up the hill. It's crazy. Wow. The female elk who's making all of that noise, she's staying at the back of the herd here, kind of as if she's ushering everybody to move forward for some reason. We got a coyote out here. He is just poking his head up from the brush.
This guy very well may have been the reason why that herd of elk was going up and down, trying to figure out where he is. He's crouched, he's hiding. Mountain lions are the Thule elk's main predator, but a coyote will occasionally attack a small calf if given the chance, and that explains why the elk are a little on edge.
They're still on the move.
Yeah.
And just like that, they're out of sight. What do you say we go see if we can find some bigger bulls?
They're out there. They're definitely out there.
They're out here.
After the rutting season, the bulls separate from the herd and band together in bachelor groups.
Got some big ones?
We've got 4 bulls.
Oh, man.
4 massive bulls. These guys may look like they're the best of buds, but during the rutting season, it's every Thule elk for himself, as these 550-pound beasts battle it out to be the one and only bull that gets to join the female herd.
All 4 of these bull elk are absolutely massive. The antlers on these guys are huge. I mean, you don't need binoculars to see them, and we are still maybe 200 yards away from these guys.
Oh, there they go. Oh, man. Wow. That's insane. They were moving fast.
Yes, they were.
Think about the day we've had. We've seen seals. We saw tons of stuff out in the bay. Elk.
Hawks, bald eagles, bat rays. I mean, we literally have traveled maybe, I don't know, 4 miles when it's all said and done between land and sea, and yet a plethora of wildlife. And that right there is a testament to what happens when you do preserve wild places like this.
All right, man. Soak in the view. Let's have a nice camp out, because tomorrow we're headed to prison. By prison, we mean Alcatraz.
It's early morning as we head towards San Francisco to check out one of the world's greatest feats of engineering.
The plan today is to check out the Golden Gate Bridge as we make our way into the city. And then from there, we're headed to Alcatraz.
Yeah, the Rock.
Just like the Golden Gate Bridge, it's an icon.
Our first stop is the Golden Gate Bridge. More than a mile long, the bridge spans the Golden Gate Strait at the entrance to the Pacific Ocean and connects San Francisco to Marin County.
Many experts said because of the fog, because of the high winds in this area, that building this bridge would be absolutely impossible. People defied the experts. They built the bridge, and here we are. It's so nuts when you think about where this bridge is situated. Not just over the bay, but over the San Andreas Fault.
I mean, they had to build it strong, not just to get the cars over it, but to withstand that seismic activity.
Built nearly 80 years ago, the Golden Gate Bridge was the world's longest and highest suspension bridge at the time. The wires used in the cables are long enough to span the equator 3 times around and strong enough to allow the bridge to sway 27 feet from side to side in high winds.
And the international orange color is here to really fit the surroundings of the Bay Area, but also to provide visibility for the ships that were coming into this city. Because one thing San Francisco is known for is getting some dense, dense fog.
Lucky for us, the skies are clear today, giving us a bird's eye view of some familiar creatures down below in the water. Harbor porpoises.
Oh, there they are down there, yeah. We've got a pod over there.
These guys have a pretty interesting story. For about 60 years, they disappeared completely from the Bay Area due to pollution.
Yeah, the bay's been cleaned up and a lot of these species are coming back, especially the harbor porpoises. And they stick together in these little pods that you can track from up here on the bridge. Really cool.
It's amazing between today and yesterday, the amount of wildlife that we've seen so close to such a major city.
This has been pretty awesome.
Yeah, it has.
But I'll tell you what, the sun's gonna be setting soon. It's time to get to Alcatraz.
Yeah!
We gotta catch that ferry.
We're headed to the Rock.
It's this island that's just looming out in the bay. Alcatraz is just as iconic to San Francisco as the Golden Gate Bridge.
Located a little over a mile from the city, Alcatraz Island is surrounded by sheer cliffs and perilous currents. It's the ideal location to build a maximum security prison. They were banking on the fact that nobody could really swim in these frigid waters from Alcatraz to San Francisco itself.
You can see why they picked this island. It does not look easy to get out of here.
It also wasn't easy to run this place. Everything had to be shipped in, and high maintenance costs eventually forced the prison to shut down in 1963. But relics of the past still remain.
You've got all of these abandoned structures, ones that are just decaying. You've got the birds that are just hovering around it. It's got a real creepy vibe to it.
Just being out here, you feel the isolation. Alcatraz is now a national park, and Ranger Sarah Anderson is the keeper of all its legends and lore. I've heard stories, and they're all eerie, and they just paint this really, really weird mystique.
Yeah, Alcatraz definitely has a reputation.
Being home to one of the most feared prisons is only one chapter in the island's elaborate history.
We often refer to the layers of history out here. We start with what's a bird estuary. Alcatraz actually gets its name from a bird, Isla de los Alcatrazes, or Island of the Pelican.
Oh, wow.
Gotcha.
Then we kind of enter this military phase. It becomes Fortress Alcatraz. Let's make our way up through the Sally Port so that you can see the entrance to Alcatraz.
I'm scared and excited. Alcatraz was used by the U.S. Army to protect the gold that was discovered in California and to defend the West Coast against foreign invasion. It became the most heavily fortified military site on the West Coast, with over 100 cannons on the island to defend it. We've seen a lot of cannons in our day, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, like most that we've seen, these cannons were never fired.
There was never a shot fired in anger.
In anger.
In anger.
So,
For
fun.
The soldiers had a little fun, which is probably part of the reason this did become a prison.
Alcatraz transitioned into a military prison with a single cell in the guardhouse.
All right, so where was this cell?
So the cell is actually the room right down below through this grate.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, is that creepy. Let's go down there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. This has first cell written all over
Yeah,
it.
it does.
Just add 10 to 20 of your stinkiest soldier friends.
Oh, so they were all in here.
They may have stashed out multiple men at a time.
80 years later, in 1933, the U.S. Army relinquished Alcatraz to the U.S. Justice Department, which wanted an end-of-the-line prison for criminals too difficult or dangerous to be housed anywhere else. A cell house was built that could hold up to 600 inmates. This is where prisoners like Al Capone would have gone after arriving on Alcatraz.
Their new home, a 5 by 9 foot cell.
Oh my gosh. This is crazy.
This is nuts.
Alcatraz was not conceived as a facility for rehabilitation. It was a place of punishment and minimum privilege.
Well, it's a different kind of history, and that's the thing about the national parks. We preserve history for better or for worse.
And we're about to get a taste of one of the most dreaded spots in Alcatraz called the Hole.
Imagine being in here. This is total sensory deprivation. It's pitch black. There's nothing to see except what your brain creates.
We're following the footsteps of some of America's most hardened criminals that served their time on the Rock, the infamous Alcatraz Island.
Oh man, look at this. Oh, one of Al Capone's cells. Oh my gosh. This is tiny.
In the history of mobsters and gangsters, Al Capone was Scarface, public enemy #1. And then now, picture him in this cell. Whoa, is that a change of scenery?
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Al Capone was one of the first federal inmates at Alcatraz, and he spent 5 years right here.
A maximum security prison surrounded by hypothermic waters, Alcatraz was deemed escape-proof. But that didn't stop some from trying. In 1962, Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers hatched one of the most daring and elaborate prison breaks in modern history.
Over the course of months, they chiseled away a nice little passageway into the utility back hallway. To get this, they made a raft out of a raincoat.
They also created decoy heads using scraps of hair from the barbershop.
This is the utility hallway that the brothers got into once they went through the vent in their cell. Imagine the desperation to get out of a place like Alcatraz.
No one knows what happened to these escapees, which only adds to the mystery of Alcatraz.
E-Block. The deadliest prison riot that took place on the island happened right here. These are bullet holes from the shots that were fired. I mean, this thing was awful. Guards died, prisoners died, and for 3 days, it was utter chaos here.
Not only was D-Block the scene of a murderous shootout, it's also where you'd find solitary confinement, aka the Hole.
This is where some of the ghost stories of Alcatraz have come from, especially cell number 14.
All right. Oh, that's creepy. Let's go in.
Oh, imagine being in here. This is total sensory deprivation. It's pitch black. There's nothing to see except what your brain creates.
Man, what a unique place.
To walk through the cell blocks of Alcatraz, like what?
Think about Alcatraz. So much history, so much folklore, and it's a national park.
It's part of our country's history, and because of that, it needs to be preserved.
Northern California protects an incredibly diverse array of wildlife and history.
From kayaking right over the San Andreas Fault, getting up close with seals and a species that nearly went extinct, to hiking across the Golden Gate Bridge, an American symbol of ingenuity.
It just goes to show you how nature and human history, it's all intertwined and it works together.
Hey, if we can do it, so can you.
So the next chance you get, go out and rock the park. We got a seal. Look at him. Yeah, we got a seal.
Right up there. We got about 50 of them or more. Oh, there they are down there, yeah. Got a pod over there.